a young woman came to the department for hymen repair surgery. A vivid blush spread across her delicate face, and she asked timidly, "This won't be obvious, right?" I liked her and advised her to be honest. If a couple couldn't be together because of something like this, what was the point of continuing? The young woman's face grew even redder. "It was an accident while I was running. He said he loves me for my purity, and I want this for him." 3 months later, the young woman came back to see me. Clutching her lower abdomen, she said she was pregnant, her eyes practically overflowing with happiness. Before I could even offer my congratulations, her boyfriend called. "Sweetheart, is the baby okay? Get ready, I'm rewarding you with a week abroad." After he hung up, I was slow to recover. The young woman waved her phone in front of me. "Eleanor, there's no need to stay together if there's no love between two people." It was only then that I realized. Her boyfriend was my husband. At a coffee shop, Chloe ordered me a latte. Iced, sugar-free, right? The youngest renowned surgeon at Metropolitan General Hospital 3 years ago gave up her career for a quieter department to take care of her family. "But Eleanor, why do you do this to yourself? Rob doesn't love you anymore. Why can't you let go and find someone more suitable?" She tilted her head slightly, her pretty face showing no hint of the guilt or shame of being the other woman. Half defiant, half pitying. I sipped my coffee, forcing down my rising anger. "You went to such lengths to investigate me and deliberately approached me just to provoke me into leaving?" Chloe scoffed. "I just want you to face reality. Stop clinging to Rob. He hasn't touched you in a long time, has he? He's even thought of a name for the baby I'm carrying." In that instant, I had the urge to splash the scalding coffee in her face and curse her out. But what would be the point? It was a fact that she was pregnant with Rob, the artist's child, and it was a fact that my husband of 8 years, whom I deeply loved, had been working late for 6 months straight and had barely touched me. The window reflected my tired face. Time had stolen my youthful softness, leaving behind faint lines. I started to regret my impulsive decision to accept her invitation just to learn more about the other woman. What was there to fight about with her? An unfaithful man. If she wanted him, she could have him. "If you're still not convinced, we can make a bet," Chloe called out as I left, her confident face slightly flushed with excitement. "Day after tomorrow is your 8th anniversary. Do you think he'll spend it with you, or take me out?" As soon as she finished speaking, her phone pinged. Robert's voice message to her was full of affection. "Sweetheart, have you eaten? I know you love seafood, so I had some airlifted just for you." Lowering my head, I saw a message on my own phone. Just a few short words, "Working late. Go to bed first." It was then that I realized. What I thought was a perfect, happy life was just a carefully maintained lie. At 3 in the morning, Robert returned, put down his briefcase, and tiptoed into the bathroom. "Why aren't you turning on the light?" My sudden voice startled Robert. He saw me sitting on the couch, a flicker of panic in his eyes, which quickly smoothed into his usual gentle expression. He walked over and gently embraced me. "Just didn't want to wake my darling, of course. You work all day, and then you have to do housework when you come back. I worry about you working so hard. If you don't get enough sleep, you'll get wrinkles and won't be beautiful anymore." So he knew about my contributions to this home. He was busy with work and had a slight, so we couldn't hire help. I took care of everything, inside and out. For him, I gave up my career, transforming from a renowned surgeon into something closer to a devoted wife and homemaker. How ridiculous had I had no sign of pregnancy myself, while the other woman was already carrying his child. "If you like young and pretty, you could have just said so." He froze for a moment, the forced smile on his face hiding a flicker of testing. "Why are you saying such things all of a sudden? Ellie, I love you no matter what you look like. Are you still awake because you're upset about something you want to talk about?" Before I could answer, his phone on the coffee table lit up. A voice message from someone saved as Sweetie Pie. Robert snatched his phone back almost instantly, mumbled something about company business, and hurried to the bathroom. When he came out, he was visibly anxious and rushed to the entryway to change his shoes. Darling, there's a problem with a major project. You go rest first. After this busy period is over, I'll make it up to you. Suddenly, I couldn't remember the last time Robert took me out. The wedding photo on the wall glowed softly. The house was still immaculate. The study was so full of gifts Robert had given me that I'd stored the most valuable ones at the bank. Everyone said our marriage was the perfect couple. But everything that was once warm now felt like a cold lion betrayal, making me shiver and leaving me breathless. Eleanor, looks like you're going to lose. Rob has booked tickets to the Caribbean for the day after tomorrow. He's taking me for a whole week. Oh, and Rob won't be coming back tonight. I told him I had a stomachache, and he rushed over to my place. He can't bear to leave me alone. After reading the other woman's provocative messages, I sat there numbly until dawn. I remembered the first year of our marriage, when I broke out in hives from a peanut allergy. Robert was so scared he rushed me to the hospital, not even flinching at missing a major project worth millions because of it. The third year, I collapsed from exhaustion after a surgery, and he stormed into the hospital and ripped the diary. Tore a new one. But last year, when I had a fever of 102 degrees, he only sent someone with a fruit basket and didn't even come to the hospital to see me. I thought perhaps time had made our feelings more understated, less intense. Only now did I realize he had simply redirected his love to someone else. Darling, why are you awake so early? I brought you breakfast. And look, some new jewelry from the company. I argued with the board for ages to get this for you. Robert returned in the morning, dark circles under his eyes, and the first thing he did was present the gift. His face wore the same doting expression as always, showing no hint of anything amiss. The more he acted this way, the colder my heart became. I couldn't tell how much of the past 8 years was genuine affection and how much was pretense. Why aren't you saying anything? Ellie, didn't you rest well? Do you want me to get you a sick day from the hospital? He looked anxious, reaching out to touch my forehead solicitously. I resisted the strong urge to push him away, staring deeply into his eyes. Robert, I took tomorrow off. Can you spend the day with me? I wanted to know if 8 years of our relationship meant anything compared to his 6 months with Chloe. I wanted to know if he could give me one last bit of dignity before we divorced. Tomorrow. I really can't get out of things tomorrow. Robert feigned difficulty, pulling me closer. How about the end of the month? I'll go anywhere you want to go. Seeing my lack of response, he pouted innocently. Darling, we have a long future ahead of us. Why does it have to be tomorrow? I flinched, pushing him away instinctively, retreating 2 steps as if escaping. Not only did he not choose me, he had forgotten our 8th anniversary. 3. My breakdown made Robert suspicious, but just as he was about to comfort me, he was called away by a phone call. Half an hour later, Chloe sent me pictures of them together. I had loved Robert for 8 years, given him everything, and I was utterly defeated by the other woman. Ellie, that awful mistress you asked me to investigate, I've dug up her background. My best friend sent me Chloe's information. The second daughter of Sterling Corporation in Sterling City. Although she was an illegitimate child and had lived with a longtime family employee away from the Sterling family since childhood, she still had a 10% inheritance right in the family assets. If Robert could connect with Chloe, he could ride the Sterling family's massive ship into the Fortune 500. For a moment, I didn't know if Robert was drawn to Chloe out of calculation or love. But their apparent mutual affection and care couldn't be faked. Chloe had such a background, yet she still had hymen repair surgery to please Robert. And Robert was completely focused on her, spending all his free time with her for the past 6 months. Compared to them, it was I, the wife, who felt more like the other woman. Ellie, do you want me to help you teach that horrible mistress a lesson? What if she is a Sterling? Anyone who breaks up a family must pay the price. No need, I interrupted my best friend calmly, my heart now numb. I'm not someone who can't live without Robert. I've already contacted a divorce lawyer. My best friend's voice was full of heartache. But you gave up your career, your health, everything for Robert. You can't get those back. So, I didn't want to waste another second on Robert. That day, I packed up all my belongings and contacted a divorce lawyer. He cheated first. I wouldn't settle for a single cent less than what was mine. To prevent him from noticing and transferring assets beforehand, I pretended not to know anything and continued to prepare a light meal for him, leaving it in the pot so he could heat it up when he came back from his night shift. Unexpectedly, Robert, whose mind was entirely on Chloe, came back early once, bringing a bouquet of bright red flowers and feigning devotion, suggesting we go to the mall. Was it a guilty attempt to make amends? Or was Chloe busy and he had nothing else to do? I didn't bother to think much and just nodded perfunctorily. Let's go for a walk then. It was a good chance to discard a lot of old things that had his mark on them. Darling, let's go to this store. I think classic styles suit you better. Robert blocked my path to the trendy fashion store, pointing to a brand for older women. My fists clenched, trembling slightly out of control. Robert, are you trying to hide something? Or is it that in your eyes, I'm already a middle-aged woman who's lost her charm, so you find me so repellent you haven't come home in 6 months? At that moment, in the trendy fashion store, Chloe was watching the scene unfold, arms crossed. I also really wanted to know how Robert would respond. Darling, what are you talking about? I think those flashy clothes are too frivolous, and I don't want you to wear them. No matter how you change, you're always the most beautiful woman in my heart. We rarely get out. Be a good girl, okay? His sickeningly sweet tone sent a deep shiver down my spine. No! Robert, what if I insist on going to that store? Hidden impatience crossed his face, which stiffened slightly. Stop making trouble. It was because of your fussing last time that we lost our baby. Ellie, we're not young anymore. Stop throwing tantrums. I couldn't hear the rest of what he said. Only the words "because of your fussing" that we lost our baby echoed in my mind. I had been weak since childhood, and having a child involves significant risk. Not only was it likely the baby wouldn't survive, but my own health could suffer serious lifelong complications. Robert knew all of this before we got married, but he kept dropping hints, saying he liked children, that he wanted a baby. It had become an obsession for him. I loved him, and 3 years ago, I took a risk and got pregnant. NT for him. But I miscarried after a surgery, and Robert blamed me for not being obedient, for insisting on working during my pregnancy. But the doctors had said my miscarriage was inevitable and had nothing to do with work. I had explained this to Robert, and he said he understood and hadn't brought it up again all these years. Only now did I realize that his silence wasn't indifference, but that he had held on to it. Now, not wanting me to see Chloe, he blurted it out in a moment of panic. So Robert, have you been blaming me for the past 3 years? Have you been neglecting me because I couldn't give you a child? But you promised me before I got pregnant that no matter the outcome, you would continue to love me and be good to me. And now, because I miscarried and was left with a chronic illness for you, I had no choice but to give up my dreams and career, gradually becoming a housewife. And you started to resent me? The pent-up emotions finally erupted uncontrollably at this moment. I would rather Robert had simply fallen for someone new, that he had lost feeling for me and cheated because of that. But I couldn't bear that he was doing this because I couldn't have children. I had ruined my life with a miscarriage because I loved him, and now that had become the reason he was abandoning me? How could I bear it? When did I ever resent you? Ellie, what's been wrong with you these past few days? Why are you so sensitive? I haven't been neglecting you, it's just that work has been too busy. I really haven't had the time. Can you wait another week, okay? Until I get back from my business trip and finish this major project. He coaxed me all the way home from the mall, constantly swearing and promising. But the time he asked me to wait was the week he planned to spend abroad with the other woman. With my heart dead, I felt a sense of calm. Okay, I'll wait for you. In a week, the lawyer should have the divorce papers ready. Ellie, be a good girl at home, okay? I'm going to the company now to finish things up quickly. Seeing that I had calmed down, he breathed a slight sigh of relief and prepared to leave again. At the same time, Chloe's message lit up my screen. I asked Rob why he didn't say hi to me at the mall, and he rushed over to explain. Sometimes, men being too clingy is annoying. I skimmed it, feeling nothing. Robert was already holding the doorknob, turning back to look at me, his eyes filled with concern and a hint of testing. Ellie, are you sure you don't have anything to tell me? I was about to shake my head when there was a knock at the door. Robert opened it to see the delivery guy holding a cake and a bunch of balloons, shouting loudly, "Happy 8th anniversary to the happy couple." It was then that I remembered. I had planned this anniversary celebration days ago, bought the cake, candles, and balloons, and instructed the vendor to deliver them on time to surprise Robert. But clearly, there was no surprise, only sudden shock. Robert's face gradually turned pale, his clenched palm bleeding slightly. After a long, dazed pause, he squeezed out a shaky, panicked whisper, "Ellie, why didn't you remind me it's our wedding anniversary today?" 5:12:01 a.m. The time I had carefully planned now made me feel incredibly stupid and ridiculous. I didn't know how much of his current panic was due to fear of losing me, but the outcome was decided, and I felt no emotion. I was about to tell him not to worry about the anniversary and just go do whatever he needed to do, when Robert's apology rang out. "I'm sorry, sweetheart, this project is really important, it's crucial for the company's future. I'll make it up to you properly when I get back, okay? Next year, I'll definitely give you an unforgettable anniversary." My heart ached, and I couldn't speak. So, whether it was our wedding anniversary or not, nothing could stop him from going to Chloe? Looking at the pleading light in his eyes, I pulled the corners of my mouth into a slight smile and nodded. But in my heart, I said, there is no next year. Robert, we have no future. The next morning, Chloe couldn't wait to send me a picture of her and Robert boarding the plane. I, on the other hand, went to the bank, planning to retrieve the valuable gifts Robert had given me over the years. I had estimated roughly before coming that all the gifts combined would amount to an 8-figure sum. Even if I sold them at a discount, my half of the divided assets would still be a considerable amount. But one sentence from the bank manager struck me like a bolt of lightning, chilling me to the bone. "Mr. Robert already withdrew the gifts you deposited, didn't he? Didn't he tell you?" I couldn't believe it. Why would Robert withdraw these gifts behind my back? But the records provided by the bank couldn't be faked. Recovering from the shock, I quickly used all my resources to check the assets under my and Robert's names. It turned out that since the day I miscarried 3 years ago, Robert had been gradually transferring all the marital joint assets away, bit by bit. In other words, all his kindness to me over the years was a facade, a lie. The man I had sacrificed my health and everything else to love had been planning to kick me out since the moment I lost my ability to have children. Every gift he gave, every kiss, every sweet word, was just a perfunctory way to keep me stable, hiding a cold and malicious calculation behind it. The beaches in the Caribbean are truly stunning. Has Rob ever taken you? We're already discussing getting married. We're thinking about whether to invite you. Eleanor, Rob really doesn't love you. What's the point of holding on so tightly except to torment yourself? In the 7 days that I lost everything, felt utter despair, and drifted aimlessly, Robert took Chloe to 7 countries and visited over a dozen sites together, seemingly deeply in love. At night, sleepless. Even after taking sleeping pills, my mind was filled with Robert's face. He was so cautious and calculating. If Chloe hadn't shown up, perhaps I would never have seen any signs until the day I was left with nothing. What should I do? How could I fight back? Every asset he transferred left no loopholes. I was tormented to the brink of collapse by deep helplessness and resentment, and my chronic post-miscarriage illness flared up, torturing me with unbearable pain. The day Robert returned, I looked pale and gaunt in the mirror. He was startled and grabbed me, trembling uncontrollably. "Why do you look so bad? Ellie, are you sick? What did the doctor say? Is it serious?" His expert pretense made me laugh coldly. "Robert, you must feel quite accomplished, having deceived me so thoroughly. 6, you don't have a fever. Why are you talking nonsense? Ellie, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? Have you been to the hospital?" Having lost my assets, all pretense and restraint were pointless. I pushed him away fiercely, my hoarse voice filled only with coldness and hatred. "How long are you going to keep pretending? Chloe, the baby, and the assets, I know everything. You've been planning this for so long, Weren't you just trying to force me out with nothing? Robert, you've succeeded. Let's get a divorce. I clenched my fists, almost grinding my teeth. As unwilling as I was, I had to let go for now and plan my counterattack later. The immediate priority was to leave him. Every second I spent with him was suffocating. I expected Robert to reveal a triumphant smile and agree readily. At most, out of consideration for the past, he might give me a small sum of money. But I didn't expect that even now, he would continue to pretend, holding me tightly despite my resistance, his body trembling even more than mine. Ellie, you've misunderstood. I never intended to divorce you or leave you with nothing. I did transfer the assets and bank gifts, but I've kept them or you. If you want them, I can give them back to you anytime. My agitated emotions made me impatient to hear him finish, so I bit down hard on his shoulder. Sweet, metallic blood filled my mouth and trickled from the corner of my lips. Robert didn't struggle, and the force of his embrace didn't lessen at all. I became even more furious. Isn't it enough that you've deceived me out of everything? You still won't let me go? Robert, I'll say it again, the miscarriage back then wasn't my fault. Do you need me to pay with my life for the baby to be satisfied? Besides this, I couldn't think of any other reason for him to keep pretending. What will it take for you to let me go and divorce me? Robert's voice was urgent and firm. Ellie, I'm not getting a divorce, Before he could finish, I erupted with a surge of strength and pushed him away. I stumbled back, my head hitting the edge of the coffee table. The pain made me clench my teeth. The sudden turn of events combined with my uncontrolled emotions triggered my chronic illness again. The tearing pain throughout my body made me afraid to move. I froze there, stiff and upright. Ellie, are you okay? Robert rushed over and held me. The intense pain it caused made tears stream down my face. But he thought I was crying over our relationship. I'm sorry, I won't see Chloe anymore. Whichever of those gifts you want, I can get them for you. Even the most valuable rare treasure from the company, as long as you don't sell it, I can get it for you. Ellie, please forgive me just this once, okay? I wanted to tell him to get lost, but the pain made me unable to speak. I never cared about those gifts. What was most precious to me was the care he put into them. But he had been using gifts to string me along, to coax me, trying to devour me completely. What was he after now? I couldn't imagine, and I didn't dare to. I gritted my teeth, enduring the pain that was worse than death, and slowly, painstakingly, crawl towards the door. As long as I could get away from him, nothing else mattered. Don't move, Ellie, I'll call an ambulance. No, I'll take you to the hospital right now. Just as he crouched down, his phone rang. At this moment, the only person he would still have the presence of mind to answer was Chloe. Perhaps frantic and losing control, this time Robert didn't hide it from me. Chloe's voice on the other end was a painful groan, as if something was wrong with the baby in her abdomen. There are painkillers at home. I'll get them for you now. After hanging up, Robert quickly gave me the medicine and then hurried out the door. You heard it. Something's wrong with the baby in Chloe's belly. I can't ignore a human life. Take the medicine and wait for me at home. I'll come back as fast as I can. He spoke as he left. He wasn't even bothering to pretend with his actions anymore. 3 years ago, I miscarried for Robert, ruining my career for life. Now, because of him, my chronic illness had flared up. Was I going to lose my life too? I crawled to a flower bed in a deserted area. I couldn't crawl any further and collapsed on the ground in despair, letting my consciousness fade, leaving my fate to chance. Vaguely, a familiar figure suddenly appeared before my eyes. I looked up, and it was Chloe. Where was the slightest sign of a stomachache? She stood naturally and straight, her eyes filled with the pity of the other woman victorious, looking down on the wife. You're like this, and you still won't let go? Eleanor, haven't I done enough for you to see that Rob doesn't care about you at all? I had been robbed of everything and now had to endure the other woman's insults. At this moment, sheer rage overwhelmed my reason, making me endure the pain and yell hoarsely, you faked something happening to the baby and coaxed Robert to come to you just to insult me to my face? Chloe! You won not because I don't have methods, but because I despise a cheat. ING scumbag like Robert, and I couldn't be bothered with you too. But that doesn't mean I'll let you humiliate me. When I post all your dirty secrets online, people will help me spread the word. How much weight do you think you carry in your Sterling family's eyes? Do you think Robert has the guts to risk offending the Sterlings to stay with you? These words drained all my strength. In my gradually blurring vision, Chloe crouched in front of me, her pretty face flushed with embarrassment and anger. I didn't come here specifically to insult you. I really did have a stomachache, that's why I called Rob. But I got better quickly, and he still hadn't come, and I couldn't reach him, so I came to check on you. And she bent down and with difficulty pulled me into her arms. I know being the other woman is despicable. I'm willing to pay the price, willing to make it public, to be cursed and criticized. But compared to all that, isn't love more important? 8. Rob doesn't love you anymore. Why do you keep holding on to him? It's not just us who are suffering, you are too. I approached you and showed you our relationship, not to provoke you, but just to make you face reality. Eleanor, you're a very excellent doctor, I respect you a lot. Why are you so confused when it comes to relationships? She held me, and even when she cried, she was so moving and passionate. Her small body was full of energy, dragging me slowly towards the hospital. After getting me to the hospital, Chloe was almost exhausted, but she didn't sleep and stayed awake until I woke up. Seeing her sweat-soaked bangs and the seemingly genuine concern in her eyes, I re-examined Chloe. From beginning to end, she hadn't done anything truly malicious to me. She had only told me what was happening between her and Robert and advised me to leave him. Eleanor, please. You've already lost. Can you please stop tormenting yourself? After treatment, I had recovered a little and nodded slightly. Okay. I'll listen to you. She sniffled. Really? Really? After a pause, I added, however, you haven't necessarily won either. We can make another bet, betting on whether Robert truly loves you or is just using you. I finally understood why Chloe always showed me pity and conflicted emotions. She was just a girl who hadn't seen much of the world. With a few tricks, Robert could make her fall head over heels in love, and naturally, she believed whatever he said. In her eyes, I was a pathetic person clinging to the ashes of love. Whether she wanted to save me or simply wanted to marry Robert, the fact was, when I was abandoned by Robert and close to death, she saved me. Now, it was my turn to save her. You just need to tell Robert that the Sterlings found out about you being the other woman, and they've revoked your inheritance rights. Say you argued with them, were pushed, and accidentally fell and miscarried. I had loved Robert with all my heart for 7 years, but I couldn't warm his heart. It couldn't compare to his career and a child. If Chloe lost her value, would he still love her? The young woman in front of me, capable of loving fiercely and hating just as fiercely, who was open and passionate, nodded confidently. Okay, I'll take that bet. I hope this time you'll be convinced and wake up to find someone better. 9. Robert got into a minor car accident on the way to see Chloe. He was fine, but his phone was broken, which is why he was out of contact. After returning to the company and getting a new phone, he found he couldn't reach me or Chloe. Sweetheart, is the baby okay? Why aren't you answering your phone? I searched all the hospitals and couldn't find you. Where are you? Don't scare me, okay? Chloe scrolled through the messages Robert sent her and showed me. We were both unreachable, but he asked about me first. Doesn't that prove something? I gave a bitter smile and didn't speak, pulling out my own phone. Messages with almost identical content made Chloe freeze slightly, and for the first time, doubt about this relationship appeared on her face. She and Robert had met at a banquet and hit it off, exchanging contact information. According to Chloe, she initially didn't know Robert was married. Lacking family care since childhood, she was attracted by Robert's attentiveness and charm and pursued him actively. At first, Robert even rejected her, saying he had a family, and Chloe was preparing to let go. The change happened during a drunken night when Robert claimed he and I had no feelings left, that I was the one who wouldn't let go and clung to him. Chloe saw hope again. I concluded that was his tactic to play hard to get. Before approaching you, he had already figured you out completely. I knew Robert was capable of such calculation and patience. Chloe shook her head violently. Impossible. Even if Robert doesn't love me, he's absolutely not that kind of calculating bad person. Is that so? I showed her the records of Robert secretly transferring marital assets, as well as chat logs that proved we were at least seemingly in love and that neither of us was desperately clinging to the other. Chloe finally understood. The passionate, deeply moving love she thought she had was nothing more than Robert's carefully crafted scheme. She lost the second bet, utterly defeated. When she paid a heavy price, getting several respected figures in the business world to help her stage a scene, faking that she had been abandoned by the Sterling family and accidentally miscarried after an argument, Robert immediately blocked all her contact information. It was even more decisive and ruthless than I had imagined. Not even a word of explanation, not a goodbye. At the same time, my phone was bombarded with messages from Robert. Darling, I've truly changed. I won't do anything to hurt you again. I've blocked all of Chloe's contact info. I promise I'll never see her again. Just agree not to divorce me, and all the assets and gifts, I can give them back to you. Please call me back. Don't ignore me, okay? I really had my reasons. I can't explain it over the phone. I'll explain in person. Through the text, I could imagine his face, so skilled at acting. But I couldn't understand. I had lost my value to him. What was the purpose of these words? Just as I was wondering, Chloe, her eyes red and swollen from crying, walked over. You won. What are you going to do now? Go back to Robert and give him another chance to see? I chuckled softly, not hesitating. I'll never go back. I said, from the moment he cheated, I couldn't stand this man anymore. After saying this, I realized Chloe was very upset. Just as I was about to comfort her, Chloe wiped away her tears and gritted her teeth. In that case, let's team up and fight back. This scumbag tricked us so badly, we can't let him get away with it. After a pause, I couldn't help but smile. Youth is wonderful. They can love and hate intensely, and once they see someone clearly, they can let go so quickly. Unfortunately, my youth was completely buried with Robert. It would never come back. 10. After Chloe had her miscarriage surgery, I took her homemade chicken soup and reminded her of various things to watch out for, so she wouldn't end up with a chronic illness that would plague her for a lifetime, like me. As I was talking, Chloe suddenly cried. Eleanor, the first time I met you, I knew you were a good person. I didn't want to break up your family either. At that time, I really loved Robert too much, and I didn't want you to waste too much time, so I gently held her in my arms. It's okay, I believe you. It seemed Robert had targeted Chloe because she was a young woman from elite circles, but she was also naive and lacked love, making her easy to deceive. Having finalized our plan, I returned to Robert's side. The moment he saw me, he held me tightly, tears, whether real or fake, streaming down his face. He cried until his voice was hoarse, filled with the joy of having me back. Ellie, as long as I wear this tracking bracelet, you can monitor me 24/7. I swear I won't do anything to hurt you again. And these gifts, he pointed to the pile of jewelry behind him, stacked like a small mountain. As long as you agree not to divorce me and not to leave home, I can give them to you right now, and you can deposit them in the bank yourself. I was taken aback that he was actually offering tangible benefits to appease me. What about the assets? I'll transfer the assets back too. You can review every transaction and monitor them anytime. Looking at his red eyes and haggard face from crying, I couldn't help but ask, if you're so generous with me, why did you transfer the assets behind my back? Chloe was even pregnant with your child. How could you just abandon her? Robert's answer was unexpected. Ellie, everything I did was to have a child. He buried his face in my arms, laughing and pressing his ear to my abdomen like he did when I was pregnant, but with tears in his eyes. You know I wanted a child, I dreamt of it. But your health isn't good, and you had a miscarriage. I couldn't bear to risk it, so I planned to secretly have a child with someone else and then bring the baby to you, saying I adopted them. I chose Chloe because she was easy to deceive. That way, even if I got the child and abandoned her, I could still use her family background and reputation to control her. I transferred the assets thinking that if you found out, you might give me a chance to explain because of the money. He spoke, gazing at me infatuatedly. He said he neglected me to be with Chloe just for a child. He said he was afraid I would be sad and wouldn't understand him, so he went to great lengths to hide it from me, as if the more effort he put in, the more he cared about me, and the more likely I was to forgive him. But all I felt was a chill more profound than ever before. I couldn't believe the man I had shared a bed with for 8 years was a devil who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And this, more than simple betrayal, filled me with rage and disgust. But for the sake of the plan, I suppressed my reaction and pretended to forgive him. Not only do I want to oversee the assets, but I also need to understand every aspect of the company's business. Can you do that? Seeing me relent, Robert promised with joy in his eyes, I won't hide the use of a single cent from you. 11. The plan was simple. I would gather business secrets from Robert's company, and Chloe would use the vast resources of the Sterling family to gradually swallow Robert's company whole. If I fought alone, I'd have the information but could do nothing with it. Even with the Sterling family's massive size, without finding Robert's weakness, they wouldn't know where to strike. With our cooperation, in less than 6 months, Robert's company was on the verge of bankruptcy. He stayed up until 2 or 3 in the morning every day, and this time, he really was busy with company matters. Ellie, we'll have to wait on the adoption. I'll transfer some money to you. Go abroad for now. The company situation is too tricky, and I'm not 100% confident. Robert, who had lost weight and looked haggard, was already thinking of running away. After he transferred the money to me, I took out the divorce papers I had prepared long ago. Sign it. Chloe gave me all the evidence of your affair with her. Make it quick. I don't want to make a scene. In that instant, complex emotions flickered in Robert's eyes. Surprise, shock, and deep helplessness and despair. His eyes red, he trembled and grabbed my hand. Ellie, believe me, I can make a comeback. Just give me time. I dodged his hand, dropped all pretense, and looked at him coldly. I'm not divorcing you because of money. But you won't get a chance to bounce back. Chloe has been watching why. Oh, you tricked her so badly, she won't leave you any breathing room. Even if Robert was clever, he couldn't piece everything together at this moment. He thought for a moment, then clutched his head in agony. Wasn't Chloe abandoned by the Sterlings? How could she have the power to deal with me? I stood up and finally said the words I had kept hidden in my heart for half a year. Chloe was never abandoned, and she never miscarried. If you hadn't so decisively given her up back then, she would have continued to be deceived by you, continued to love you deeply, and even used the Sterling family's resources to help you get into the Fortune 500. But unfortunately, you missed that opportunity. You've been bitten by the prey you targeted. I didn't need to spell it out. Robert understood everything. His pale face gradually flushed, his eyes half despair, half fury. You tricked me? You set me up? My company being targeted, being on the verge of bankruptcy, that was your doing too? I loved you so much. To ask for your forgiveness, I was even willing to give up my own son and agree to adopt. How could you do this to me? Facing his frantic accusations, I just smiled coldly. Robert, you were the one who tricked me first, who tricked us. The hate and pain you feel now, we've already experienced it. And from the moment you cheated with Chloe, no matter the reason, I no longer value your love. With that, I let out a sigh of relief, feeling the knot in my chest finally dissipate completely. My steps were light as I left. I was wrong, Ellie. You can punish me any way you want, just don't take everything away from me. Don't leave me. He knelt on the floor, desperately banging his head and begging me not to go. Even though his forehead was bloody and bruised, I didn't spare him another glance. A year later, Robert, whose every path to recovery was blocked, wandered the streets half mad and half foolish. When he saw a pretty child, he would rush over and try to snatch them, thinking they were his own. Because of this, every time Chloe mentioned him, she still gnashed her teeth. That scumbag made me miscarry. I don't even know how to tell my boyfriend. Hearing that she had a new boyfriend, I couldn't help but advise her, no matter what, there's no need for hymen repair surgery. I know, Chloe smiled. I don't want a husband who can't be honest with me and truly accept me. And